love the cries of ancient lullabies through starry nights and wuthering heights. The years go by and the tears they dry, but the pain inside will never die. Cries of ancient lullabies
That is the Lullaby by Scott Lucas and the Merry Men. Oh, I love that song. I love Scott Lucas, the local aides. It's always rock out. Another broke out the part. Is that how you say it? For my husband. He know how to get this shit done. Get me the best song for the day. Because remember, if you judging by my lipstick, today is the Valentine's Day. Y'all make sure that you get your Valentine's together. Hey, it's capitalism. For who cares if we can have excuse to do something pleasurable like love, especially romantic love. So my baby Isabella, she love Valentine's. She go all in, flowers, chocolate, you name it. She just do the thing. My little baby is super romantic, and so I hope that she's doing that over there with her boyfriend Finn. This Irish American boy, he's blonde. I love Finn. He's so sporty. He do hiking and skiing and all the cool things, the kind of things I like. As Finn, I love him to death. But anyway, good morning. Good morning. It's Monica, your friend Monica. Now, I'm trying to be a little lighter this morning because it's Valentine's, right? I told my husband, yeah, you know what? What you want for Valentine's? My husband said, only your love. And don't worry, I got that covered for you. So I'm just going to make sure I'm extra nice to my husband today. The little things that I do when I know him, I'm going to try to avoid them by all costs. That means that I'm going to use a lot of headphones today, more or less. Because you know what, I'm going to be indulging in some, there's some podcasts that I need to listen to. And it's more or less that it's about, these podcasts are instructive for me because, as you know, there's an Einstein release, and there's a lot of emails. And I'm not going to read those emails because I just don't want to be tormented. But I am going to listen to people who have read them, and I'm not talking, it's going to be leftists. And they're going to just be saying, like, what those emails saying about the ruling class and how they operate. And I think there's eugenics involved, human sacrifice, of course, the pedophilia, all kinds of shit, some religious rituals and shit like that. And they're just going to connect that to the ancient, it's not even civilization, like how this is actually not new. It's something these people been doing for a long time. So I can't wait to listen to that. So, and there's another podcast that I'm thinking about or listen to, and it's gonna be other thinkers, or not thinkers, people, some leftists like me, who feel alienated in the societies we occupy, like for example, U.S. and Canada, who just know like things are so messed up, but the public seems to be fine with everything, right? And it's cathartic for us, for me to listen, because these are like highly intelligent people. And I think they can help me because for me, what I do is just I try to avoid knowing as much as I can because I just don't want to be dramatized, But it's good to know that people who scholars or thinkers or lawyers or these professions, they're like just me, like human, and they do feel sad and upset and alienated and confused, and so that makes me feel a little better. So that's what I'm gonna do later. But anyway, usually we start the show with what's happening in the world, and I'm gonna give you what's happening in the world. Now I'm conflicted this morning what to talk about. I may have to talk about a couple of things. First of all, I want to talk about Venezuela. Okay, so yesterday I went on my Instagram, and Democracy Now! Reported that Venezuela is sending oil to Israel for the first time in decades, right? Now, remember I've been talking about Venezuela and how dejected and depressed I feel about it. It's really happening. So I was saying, like, okay, if you would remember one of my episodes, I was saying that, some leftists are saying that, no, this is just a psychological warfare they have on people who want socialism, freedom. We just want we want a better world. People like me, they're just trying to make us feel dejected and feel like the white supremacists not now control everything in Venezuela. And they're trying to say that, well, the Chavistas is still in power there. But if you remember some of my episodes, I already told you, like, okay, no matter how revolutionary the person in charge, which are the Chavistas are, it's really, really, really difficult. Because what happened is this. White supremacists committed a horrifying genocide where they broke all the international laws, international norms. They literally did something so barbaric, right? So heinous that we didn't think that they still this utterly disgusting, right? It's just unthinkable what they did. They raped detainees on tape. They, babies blow up all their brain, like they bomb them with all the IV attached to them, burn them alive. I mean, they did everything is so horrible. So the majority of the global population are traumatized. My husband said, you confuse dramatized and traumatized. Traumatized. Like the whole population, so the billions of people on planet Earth are traumatized. They literally are. They're traumatized by this. And they make a calculation, okay, these are savages, okay? These literally the crusaders, these animals, white degenerates, like I call them in the West, US, Europe, all that shit. And then they have the colonial outpost, Israel. This is what we're dealing with. We really have no way we can stop them. Are we really going to subject ourselves to what's happening in Gaza Strip? Right? That's what they're thinking. That's why if you listen to the Venezuelan, which I do, I don't listen what the fuck white supremacists say about them. I go directly to Venezuela press because I know how to speak Spanish. I'm Spaniard, and I listen what they say. And there's a lot of, we have to preserve, quote unquote, peace. Okay? That's what they are saying. They want to preserve peace because, I mean, they know that a monster is on top of them. Okay? And the savage animal, it just won't commit a amount of harm. Now, they can fight back. They can resist. No doubt about it. But they will resist at a higher cost, like Palestine. The Palestinians are resistant. The Palestinian armed resistance is resistant. But a devastating cost, though. A devastating cost. So, I already knew that this is just, I told you before here that I think Venezuela already make the calculation. Okay, we're not going to abandon 100% dignity, but we're not going with the annihilation, though, right? And that's what it is. And that's true. So now they're starting doing things that are despicable. They're sending the oil, the Venezuela oil for the Venezuelan state. U.S., these white degenerates stole Venezuela oil, because that's what I call it. It's like taking something under duress. It's like putting somebody gun in the head and say, give me your shit, right? That's what it is. And we should see it that way. And now they're using that oil and sending that in fucking Israel. A despicable colonial apartheid garbage that's committing a genocide. Okay? That's what happened to right now. And of course, as a leftist, you know how it's going to make me feel. But that's one thing. And the second thing is this. Remember, I've been talking about Italian America, right? I've been talking about it a little bit. Okay, so this is the thing. As you can see, I love Dr. Parenti, and Dr. Parenti is Italian America. So I love Italian America, but not all, though. Not all. I really don't. And I'm going to be telling you what Italian America I dislike. And you goddamn right, I'm going to feature them here. Right now, there's an Italian America, Francesca Albanese, who is the UN rapporteur for the Palestinian people. She's being sanctioned. She is being condemned. She can't have a bank account, no debit card. She can't do anything financial. They prevented her because she exposed the truth. by report. She's not like me. She's not bombastic. She just write it down. And it's report after report that tell us that all these corporations are profiting for the extermination of Palestinian people. And that was a step too far for the white degenerates, the garbage in Washington, D.C. You guys call leaders, these child rapists, for them. So they sanctioned this Italian American woman, a courageous one. Now, I don't agree with everything she had to say. For example, she's against the Palestinian armed resistance, right? And if you're against that, because that's the only resistance for Palestinian people, the only one. There's nothing else. Everything else stopped, okay? It just stopped. But that one, though, the white supremacists know that's what that said. Because that's the only language these savage animals understand. But, so I don't agree with her 100%. But she is paying a personal price for doing the right thing by the international law and human decency. Just simple human decency. So that's in Italian America. So just to let you know that I'm not primitive and I just hate Italian America because they're Italian America. I don't. I just hate the spirit of supremacy of any sort. But anyway, let's go now another Italian America that I dislike with passion. Alright? Her name is Nancy Pelosi. So I'm just gonna put, this is about 41 seconds of she was interviewed by Politico, and we're just gonna hear what she's saying here.
And all the rest of that.
Is there a way to sort of bring about the regime falling without using American force, I guess is the question there?
Well, use economic forces.
Yeah.
Use economic forces. There are ways that could cripple their economy, and some of that has been in the works.
It does feel very tenuous, though, the regime there, more than it has in a long time.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you. But again, it's not about a threat from war. Hopefully, it's more about just make their economy, weaken their economy, and that weakens the support they do have, because they do have support in the rural areas and the more conservative imams and all the rest of that.
Yeah.
But we have to make them feel the pain as well.
Is there a...
Do you hear what that white bitch, Nancy Pelosi, said? She want the people in Cuba to feel the pain, right? As if they haven't been feeling the pain for over 60 years. That's what that evil bitch said. Mind you, she was the Speaker of the House. Alright? The bitch, Nancy Pelosi, the bitch is Italian America. Okay? Did you hear what she said? The people in the island, they need to suffer economically. Now, when you say suffer economically, you put sanction on them, you're slowly starving these people. You're killing them slowly instead of bombing them when they're gone, right? But economic pressure is another form of warfare. It's actually the more lethal one, right? In modern context. Because mind you, this is an island, okay? Cuba is an island. It should be able to trade with whatever country it wants to on planet Earth. If the US don't want to trade with Cuba, that's fine. Because the planet Earth is about 195 countries. US is not the only country, the settler colony, right? So that's the kind of thinking that us leftists think about. This bitch is evil. But guess what? She's popular. And US are literally a Speaker of the fucking House. You have to understand the people who occupy the Speaker House. Did you know that's the behavior of these people? They're pedophile, they're evil like this bitch, corrupt. So you have to understand US state is an evil if you haven't figured that out. And I've been saying that over and over. I want you to come away, if you take the time to listen to me in this family drama, I want you to understand that this country, it has to be dealt with. It's run by the most depraved, like some of the most disgusting human beings you could ever think of. If you ever think about being close to these animals, you'll really send yourself to the devil. So let's make sure we always expose them for what they are, which is evil, demonic, depraved animals that we do not want in any civilization context. And with that, that brings me to the family drama. All right, so yesterday, what did I spoke about yesterday? All right, did I forget what I spoke about yesterday? give me a moment here. Sometimes I just got mad with this, so that's making me a little annoyed. It is so much going on here. But for the family drama, let me bring you back. I did cry yesterday. I didn't mean to do that. I'm sorry, but I cried yesterday, and I cried because my mother-in-law asked me about my dad, right? It's just one part of it. It was other things, but she asked me about my dad, and I remember before the month that my father died, he did ask about my mother, and it made me cry because my dad did something wrong to my mom. She took away her children away from her, and I think that I don't know why my dad just feel like they did a lot of things to my mom that my dad was starting to think that were unfair, right? And I just think like towards the end of my father's life, he was into religion, Christianity and shit, and he got too involved with them. In fact, he was staying with a pastor and his wife and stuff like that. That's what he was saying. And I think because of that, he was starting feeling contrite about stuff, which I don't think he should have. Maybe he should have wrote apologies to my mom and stuff. But I think my mom she's hurt by what my dad did, but my mom is like me. She's a rational person, right? She's a rational person. She just she don't like him. Like when I went to Africa, she didn't really want me to go, but let me go anyway. Now, my mom can tell me what to do, but she would have preferred if I didn't go. She was scared because she traumatized that if I go, I may not come back and stuff like that. Right? But I went anyway. So that made me cry because if my dad was just like a normal husband, I guess, he would have his life would have been a normal life, and he just didn't have normal life. But he did have a life that I think he enjoyed, okay? And as a result, I'm happy with my father's life. Although the only thing that makes me sad about my dad is that I think he loved me and my sister like the most, and it hurt when we left. I think that hurts him. It did hurt him, especially when after my sister left. It hurts him. So, but at the same time, prior to us leaving Africa, we wasn't seeing him. He was in Gabon, another country and stuff away from us. But I used to go see him as I was getting into my teenage years, and stuff. So anyway, that's what I wanted to say. What I was talking about my dad yesterday, and it made me cry. And I'm so sorry about that because I don't want to look ugly in these pictures. Then when I cry, I'm gonna look ugly, and I don't like looking ugly. I want to look like a mulatto woman was supposed to look good. But I didn't really. It was not about talking about my dad. I was just talking in context of my mother-in-law. What do you think of black people, right? I just wanted to understand. She was curious, right? She was curious of my dad, and I'm grateful for that. She didn't know I'm gonna feel sad about this part, but I wasn't sad when she asked me that. I didn't cry. I just was laughing. My dad was a bachelor. He was like a party animal. The kind of guy who everybody adored. He is the light of the party type of thing, and he was just like that. My dad was awesome. So that's that. Now, if you notice, I have introduced all the characters of this play, right? I spoke the principal character, which is my mother-in-law, Jean. The matriarch of this family, the Augustine family. And then I introduced Henry, my mother-in-law, common-law husband, the minor character, Tom, you know, and my husband, who is the villain supporter, and I'm the villain, right? I'm the villain. I'm the narrator. I am the leftist, the brownie, right? Those are my roles. And David's wife. That's my number one role. My number one role is David's wife. Yes. Now, yeah, anyway, now being a villain, I mean, I'm a villain because I'm David's wife, though, right? That's really what generate my villaincy proclivities. It's because I'm David's wife, and my role here is to protect the interests of my husband, so to speak, and also portray, trying to disrupt what I consider either capitalist relations or white supremacy stuff. I'm trying to disrupt the thinking here and see how we can elevate ourselves from this primitive thinking of, okay, it's supposed to come, my resources are supposed to come from me to my son, to my grandkids, right? And I'm saying it doesn't have to go to your grandkids. It can go to a random person, as far as I'm concerned. So those are my thinking here. And then, what else we have? And then I spoke about Emily and Lacey, also as David's daughters. And then the shadow of this house, right? The shadow of this house. I spoke about the shadow on episode 19. Okay, I spoke about her. Now that episode was suppressed on Facebook, but it's also got very little views on YouTube. I don't get too many views on YouTube, but I will have to say that the episode number, oh God, how do I do this? Okay, episode number 21. Now, when I say episode number, it's always on YouTube, because when I share them on Facebook, you're not gonna see episode. You're just gonna see the section of the book I'm reading, and then crediting Dr. Parenti. But on YouTube, I organize them by episode. So it's gonna say family drama episode number 21, right? For example, that episode is doing well on YouTube. I don't know why. I think if you watch that episode, it's really good. So people like that. That's the, that one is liked a lot by people on YouTube. And also the family drama episode 12. That's another one that is popular, and those are really good. So these people who watching these episodes, I suspect they're very smart. I like that. So that's that. Okay, so then those Emily and Lacey, the shadow, and then I talk about Karen, Shauna, and her daughters, and then I talked about minor character, also known as Tom, children, Max, Rocco, and Aiden, and Rose, the wife of Aiden, and then what was it talking? Okay, and then the last person is that I want to mention here is Christine. Christine is the power attorney of Jean, right? Now, on this episode, I speak about her, but not a whole lot. I spoke about her in the context. That's what really started the whole drama, right? The whole drama started on episode 1, and Christine was all over that episode. The fact that we were in a waiting room. So let me just refresh your mind in case you don't want to go all the way to episode 1. We went to the hospital, and then the floor where my mother-in-law was just the 4th floor of the hospital. They was transferring her from the regular room to the ICU unit, and the ICU unit is on the 3rd floor. And then they asked us to go in the waiting room, right? And then we on the waiting room on the third floor. And when we were on the third floor, before she can sit down on her chair, she was instructing people how they're gonna go. And she was saying that it's gonna be 2 people at a time. And then those 2 people can be there for 30 minutes, right? And then after she said that, I was like, oh, good. I mean, me and my husband gonna go together. And she said, nope, you not gonna go. And when I said, why I cannot go, she said, it's not about you. And then if you don't know what happened after that, you can might as well go well. So, let me just, I already told you, I let her have it. Right? I did. Now, in my opinion, I have felt a little bad, but not too bad though, because when I think about everything that has transpired between us, I can see why I also have many reasons not to like her. Okay, if I can use that word. Alright, so I can, and she is on the agenda today. So let me tell you this. One day, my husband and I, we are in a bar. We are in a bar before we got married. And before we got married, but I already moved in, right? I mean, my husband and I were always out, even way before we got married, but that's before we moved in, right? Let me see. Was that after I moved in? Yes, after I already moved in, but before we got married, because we didn't get married right away. We had to wait 45 days and stuff and all that stuff, but I'm not going to bore you with that. The bottom line is we were out and about. We were in some town very far away, I think Indiana or somewhere, and we went to see a festival concert. And while we were there, she asked my husband to move my mother-in-law, the principal character, also known as Jean, car, because she went to the hospital and she needed help to move the car that was parked somewhere, right? Now, my husband is really far away, like 300 miles away. She said, well, I'm sorry, I can't do it. And however, he suggested that he can ask Emily and Lacey to do it because Emily and Lacey know how to drive. My husband taught them how to drive. They have license and everything, insurance and everything. They can do that. So she told her that. All right? So that's, that was fine. Then after that, my husband and I, we spent the night there for 2 days, and then we came back home. After that, she tested my husband, right? She tested my husband, and she was upset that my husband did not go move my mother-in-law car, right? She didn't do that she should have done that. And my husband said, well, it was impossible for me to do it. I don't mind do it, but it was really no way I could have done it. I mean, I don't fly or anything like that. There just was no physically way to do it. And then she was like, and then she was like, I told you Emily and Lacey can do it. And then she said something interesting. She said, well, I didn't know if the teenagers can do something like that or something like that. That's what she said. All right. So when she said that, I picked up another attitude here. For these people, teenagers are not human beings that should be doing things, right? This infantilization of children is really disgusting to me. Teenager in U.S., you can get driver's license at 16 years old, okay? At this point, these girls were 19 and 20, okay? Those are the ages. There was no reason for her dad to say. So that's number 1 point. That's number 1 point. You are disrespecting these girls. They are adults. And they can move the fucking car. Okay? And they did, by the way. And by the way, he didn't bother telling my husband on that text that Their children did it though. They did it. They did the right thing. They moved their grandmother's car from where it was and put it I don't know where. Okay, but she took it upon herself to you see, when I was telling you that a level is psychological manipulation or borderline abuse, that's what I'm talking about. So she did that. All right, now that's one thing I was disturbed about. The second thing is this. She said that my husband does not share her values. That was the second thing she said to my husband. That my husband, because she didn't move the principal character cars, my mother-in-law, his mother, when she was at a hospital and she was far away, that my husband does not share her views, her values. Well, what kind of values are that? Yeah, my husband just need to sit at his home 24/7, 7 days a week to wait to see if his mother was gonna go to the hospital and then get up when it's time to move cars and stuff. Like, I don't understand what values are these. But I didn't say anything about this. If you go to some of my episodes, I told you Christine have done things to my husband that I don't like, but I kept it between them. But with these people, I just need to make sure they all understand my perspective, how I see them, right? Because they see me how they see me. That's why they had to punish me from going to the ICU unit and take advantage of my 30 minutes with my mother-in-law when she was critically ill. And I'm trying to suppose how did I see them. But anyway, so he said that he doesn't share my husband values. That's what he told my husband. Right? Now, she's trying to make my husband feel bad. That's what it is. My husband did not get up and go remove his mother car, right? He didn't do that because that's what she's supposed to do. Now for her, I think that's the only thing she have going on. All she does is be alert, waiting to see what she can do to help her mother, I guess, right? But that's not my husband though. My husband has his own life. Literally, he has his own life. He does not mind helping. I don't mind, for example, I don't mind helping my mom, but you think that, let's say my sister or something, is just gonna make me feel guilty. I cannot attend to my mom or something, right? What's this about, right? So that disturbed me so much, but honestly, I spoke to my husband about this at length. I'm like, what the fuck is this? This is not normal. This is just not normal. You resolve her issue. The issue was this. The car needed to be moved. You couldn't do it yourself, right? You couldn't do it yourself. You asked for the girls to do it. They did it though. The girls did it. She didn't bother telling you that they did it. And the reason why we knew that they did it, I'm going to tell you in another setting. That's how I found out that they did it, right? Anyway, she did that, and that was that. So I was just already, these people, good Lord, this is too much. So my husband don't share her values. I'm looking at this woman. What's her values? Okay, this is a young, she's not around our age, but she's not too far behind either. I think she's like 47 to 48 years old, right? So she's about 3 years younger than my husband, my bad. Like 3 or 4 years younger than my husband and 3 years younger than me. This is a young woman. She never, not that I know, they ever got married or had children or, the only responsibility she does have is to her own self. And by extension, the connection with her mother. Oh, my mom texts me, Happy Valentine's Day. That's my mama. Let me text my mom, Happy Valentine's Day, Mom. I don't want to make her wait. You know what? I'll text her later because it will take too long. Right? So, for her, only thing that she cares about is her mother's needs and concerns and everything. Literally, that's all she goes. Well, it's fine, and she should be able to do that because obviously she doesn't have a husband to worry about. She doesn't have children to worry about, right? So hey, I have no problem, and honestly, that's fine. But my husband is not though. My husband's not. Right? He has obviously he had went and got a shadow procreated him 2 children, right? And then the shadow went away. Now he had to take care of these 2 girls, literally like excessively, right? So he's really busy and he was working and stuff like that. And also he had a girlfriend, right? Me, my husband had a girlfriend. Was committed to me, and he didn't have to attend time for me. I mean, he didn't have to go out of his way very much because I make sure he doesn't have to. But he also had a girlfriend, right? So he has stuff. Now Christine does not have that. Now I don't know why she said that. I don't know why she said that. But I suspect this, that my mother-in-law, principal character, told her that that my husband is gonna go get married, because by that time it was getting closer to our marriage, right? That was getting closer to they gonna get married. And so a lot of things they were doing during that time was I think they were trying to corner my husband, I suspect, or something, right? I just don't understand what this is about. But that is really weird behavior of trying to guilt trip my husband when he couldn't do something when he's so far away, right? So I picked that up. All right, so then this is what happened. After we got married, my mother-in-law, she invited us to dinner, right, to celebrate our marriage, which we did. We went to this fancy restaurant. It was me, my husband, Emily and Lacey, and Henry, my mother-in-law, common-law husband. And when we were in this table, there's a few things happened. First of all, a few days before, my husband took Lacey to get her driver license. And when she went to get her driver license, Lacey did not pass the first time, right? And when she did not pass, she started crying, right? Because, hey, when I come to these girls, they only know perfection. Anything below that, you have to lose your shit. So she was crying, right? And of course, when we were in that dinner, my husband was just trying to blame the driver license instruction, the fact that he doesn't have a good English language or whatever. He always does that. He want to blame other people for his kid's behavior, which at this point, I'm no longer let him get away with it. But he was doing that. And I was just like, no, that's not the English speaking skills of that man had nothing to do with Lacey driving here. No, it was her fault. It was not the person's fault. So I was trying to say that. And, later I told him about it. Listen, you need to stop doing this, because you're telling your kids that if you fail, it's other people's fault, right? But we all fail. If we fail, we need to know how to pick ourselves back up and do it again, right? This thing that you're never going to fail in life is unrealistic. It's ridiculous. You need to, my husband took my advice for that. But my husband was trying to communicate this and have that conversation in this table that we in a dinner. And I was trying to contradict my husband in front of his family, because I was like, no, it's not those people's fault, yeah? And when I was doing that, first of all, Emily and Lacey was trying to tell my husband not to talk about it, right? She tried to, like that's another thing I don't like. If my husband want to talk about whatever he want to talk about, he's free to talk about it. It's none of your business if he's talking about it. Who are you to tell my husband what to do? I was annoyed with that. And then my husband, I think more or less, by the time he already said what he had to say. And then she started crying, which I'm annoying as fuck. Right? She cried, but I didn't care. So she could cry about it. And then I think I was trying to tell my on the table, it's like, you know what? People can fail, and that's totally okay. I mean, that's called being black. We fail consistently. We are born fail, and we died failed. So I don't know what the big deal is. So I said that. And then my mother-in-law was super appreciative about the fact that Lacey and Emily moved her car. Like, extremely appreciative. Like, just like, oh God, thank God. You know, that you guys this and that. So, now, I don't mind you being appreciative, but you don't have to overdo it. I'm like, and I told her, listen, Jean, you don't have to appreciate them too much because you do so much for them. Like, that shouldn't be, that's not a thing, right? You do so much. Because I'm trying to make these people understand that these girls need to understand that it's not take, right? You have to give to community here, right? That's basically what I'm getting with this. I said, no, and I don't know if she understood or not, but I did do that. I'm like, you do too much for them, right? That's the minimum they can do for you. Move your car. That's really like nothing, okay? Yes, like, no, you don't have to appreciate it. They owe you. You don't owe them. I didn't say in those terms, but I said in a nicer, polite way, right? So what's that? Now at that table is when we find out that they moved the car, that Christine didn't bother telling my husband. Instead, what she was trying to do is psychologically trip him, right? And then I think another text came from her later, right? Because I posted our wedding pictures on Facebook. I think she saw them or something. I don't know. She's a leader of Facebook or what, but she saw them. And then she said another thing to my husband, what really made me really annoyed. She told my husband that she didn't think that it was real. Like our wedding at the court, she didn't think it was real. It's like she didn't think our marriage was real. That's what she said. I was just like, I didn't know what to do with this type of thing. I mean, what I'm picking up from this family is this. They are something strange here. They either don't have faith in my husband, or they don't have faith in me, or they live in another universe that is not connected to the real world as we understand it. It is like bizarre, okay? She didn't think it's real. Now, if you tell that to my husband, what is he supposed to say or do? Listen, do you think he's gonna like stuff like that? Or something about getting married? Like, is that what people do? Lie? Oh, I got married? Put a fake picture online? Like, whoa. Like, who thinks like that? She didn't think it's real. Alright. Now, but that makes sense if you consider the fact that Christine, the power attorney, and Jean, the principal character, my mother-in-law, the matriarch of this family, and Shana, right? That day that I didn't go with my husband and what outing that I was typically there, but I wasn't there. And Shana picked up the fact I wasn't there, and then she said that we're not together, right? These are women who were gossiping quite a bit, and that's I believe the gossiping or something that they didn't really know stuff, right? And I think that's what is happening here, right? Now, this may seem like banal, but it's not though. It's not, because her posture should be, oh, David, oh, I'm so happy you got married, right? Congratulations. I'm going to send you a gift to your house because you got married, right? Congratulations. Oh, finally, you find, I'm not going to say you find love again because I don't know what that was. It could not be love. It was something. And it was a mistake that my husband dumped into and couldn't get himself out of it because these really disturbing ideas about nuclear family, about being responsible father, so to speak, and all that shit. That's a trap that my husband got himself into. And that's the largest story here, right? As you can see, in one of my episodes, I think the one that is doing very well, is one of the question I posed there. I'm like, I'm trying to come up with the philosophical question here. Is that a good thing or a bad thing if a man impregnate a woman and say, you know what, I'm out, you handle it and leave? Is that a good or bad thing? In my opinion, it may not always be a bad thing. All right? I honestly think like in some cases, in my opinion, if I'm being honest, it can never be a bad thing. You know why? Because in my opinion, the woman's supposed to know how to deal with the child on her own, irrespective of the father. That's it. If you can't do that, you shouldn't have kids. I don't believe you need to have kids so the father can have it. That's not my belief system. Right? That's it. And I definitely I have changed. This whole thing has changed how I view, bad fathers or my, black folk or these poor folks or what have you. It has changed my perspective. I don't see that anymore. I think the most important person here in terms of children is the woman. All right? Is the mother. The mother is the one who knows what to do with the child. And if they don't, right, I don't think the father should even be out. Father should be there just for the woman though. Like me, I don't have my husband child, but he is my husband, and that's what I need, my husband for me, right? Not to be the father of my kids too, so to speak, because I can take care of my kids. And I think that's it, right? But anyway, when she said that to my husband, I don't know how my father felt about this. These people, I keep doing something to my husband here that disrespect him as a man, in my opinion, right? And disrespect his relationship, right? This is disturbing to me, all right? They don't have respect for my husband. They don't have respect for my husband's relationship, right? And the only thing they think is important is to these two kids who are now adult and should be on their own, really. Because if you remember in that episode 19, where I talked about the shadow, as terribly unwell she did, she's doing more than them. She literally is. She literally half them at that age, right? So she was independent. She worked. She went to school on her own, right? So in my opinion, what the problem more or less that these kids was having is like these people think they are infants when they in fact they are full-blown adult. And when you're an adult, you need to be treated as such, right? So now that you get up with the Christine, also known as a violence attorney, you will see why she would be belligerent in a way, And then, the other day I started feeling bad for her because you confronting the villain. I'm not. Because now I understand why she didn't care to trying to make me feel less bad, so to speak. She felt like, oop, this is the time. My brother's gonna go over there with my mother in that room by himself without this woman that I hate so much, right? That's what my main, and that's why the only person in this whole deal that I actually feel a little bit better about is Henry. Because he came back and trying to reason with me, hyper clumsy, and I picked that up, right? But for Christine and the rest of the family, these people really think they want to control my husband's life, an adult man of 51 years old, in this very pervasive, offensive, disrespectful way, because they want to preserve some, I don't know what the fuck capital they have in play here, right? To go to the designation, two girls here, Emily and Lacey, two bloodline they have that caused somebody else, right? These two were exchanged for somebody else, in this case the shadow. So you would see why at this point this is not really about them. I just want people to start rethinking these capitalist relation stuff, what they're doing here, okay? And trying to follow the logic. They're not concerned with my husband, who want love and companionship and desires and attachment, things profound to him, that he really haven't had almost a very long time. I mean, he has had girlfriends and stuff, but not girlfriends that last very long. And the shadow cannot possibly be anything remotely. I don't know what that is. I mean, he did something, and it wasn't really by my snap, because as soon as she got with the shadow, she got pregnant, and it was no way this woman can be and what I would call a healthy relationship. It was not a thing, right? It wasn't. This was extremely compromised individual, right? What really she needed is help. She needed help, and she never got that help, and this help needed to be before she even got with my husband, before she got involved with these things, right? But they're not thinking. They're just thinking about, as if the thing is, and then the way, like that day when I was arguing with Christine, what really pissed me off, it's like he trying to tell my husband, like, you wasn't with the shadow for a long time. You guys were not together for a long time, right? Oh, okay. So they were not together. Of course, there was. I'm surprised. How long she lasted, really. And I think much of that is because my husband was keeping the what I call dysfunctional incubator at bay, like, for the most part, the whole time, from the second she conceived, right? And the whole time was just more or less a burden to my husband. It was nothing close than a burden, right? To the point that when she went away, my husband felt a semblance of relief. All right? Like, what kind of young so-called husband want them to subject to this? Right? That's not a thing. Right? And then she trying to tell me I don't know history. What history can she know about my husband's life than I do? Yeah, she know my husband when they were growing up as kids. True, like me. I love my brothers, and I know my brothers who, when they were younger, now they're married, they're with their wife. I cannot tell my Laura, for example, my brother William's wife, that I know more about William than her. No way. There's no way in hell. My brother's a grown-ass man. I don't know shit about him. Right? He is my brother, and I love him to death. But I don't know as much as my sister-in-law know her. Right? There's no way. It's dumb and stupid. There's something so dumb about these people at the same time. I just want to keep them, I want them to get it together. Right? At a minimum, learn how to treat your family members. Right? Just learn that. Learn how you treat them. And you don't treat them good when you disrespected their spouses. Right? You just don't. I don't care if I'm a leftist and you guys are Republicans, you don't like me talking shit about U.S. I don't care. I'm still my husband's wife. Right? And before I was his wife, I was his girlfriend, his long-term girlfriends. Right? And it's not because of me. You should respect that because you respect my husband. And what I'm picking up from these people, they don't respect my husband. They don't. They don't respect my husband. And that's what makes me upset. Right? And all I'm asking them here is this. Just learn to treat people, right? Just treat them. How would they feel? All right, let me see my mother-in-law. Let's see my mother-in-law. Let me just put her as an example. right? How would she feel when, say, Henry, right? Henry, and I know Henry mom died not too long ago, a few years ago, and she was sick. And then Henry went with the mom, and she wanted to go and support Henry, right? And then Henry's family told her, nope, you can't come here. How would she feel about that? Is she gonna feel offended? Is she's gonna say, it's not about me? If she's not gonna feel offended and not about me, that means she's what I would call sociopath, right? Sociopathic. There's something here they miss that they don't have a lot. They have 0 to none. They call empathy. They only have empathy to their favor, their nepotism, Emily and Lacey, and the illusion that these girls ever had a mom that they don't have now. They never did. Okay? And I want them to know this clearly. They never had a mom. These girls, the so-called mom was a dysfunctional incubator. Right? And that's not a mom. Right? Now, it's not their fault. It's not. That's true. It's not their fault. But what the person they needed to make sure is respected and cared for, and his needs and desires and the things about it is my husband. They needed to put more effort in my husband than the fucking kids. That's how I see it. Because when they did that, then my husband would have been way better father to these girls. Although he was already good father, right? Right? And you're not treating my husband right when you're disrespecting my husband's wife or girlfriend or friends or the people he worked with or the thing. If you're not respecting the spectrum that surrounds my husband, you're not respecting my husband. That's how I see it. Like my kid, Yasmin, I respect her friends, her boyfriend, the people that she knows. Right? That's how I do it. Because that's my daughter, little world. I'm not going to say those people are not related to me. I don't have to care. Because if I do something unfair to those people, my daughter is going to feel bad. And when you do that, when you treat people in that way, you do something I'm calling you remove yourself from what we call primal or primitive to something higher. And with that, we're going to go to Dr. Parenti. So there's the black shirts and rest. Now, I haven't said that they are, how can I say this? They've been censoring on Facebook. They're censoring big time. I don't know what they're censoring. Are they censoring Dr. Parenti or they're censoring me? I don't know. But they are censoring my things on Facebook. But it's not going to stop me. I'm going to keep sharing them. I'm going to keep sharing my stuff. And I think the ruling classes, these tools are run by the white degenerates, the ruling classes. And the number one weapon is these, it's trying to repress these ideas, right? This is how I think about it. During slavery, there was no really many black folks who can talk about these things, Or, I just feel this way. They're the one who control the means of communication, the means of economic means. Like we just heard Nancy Pelosi, that fucking evil bitch, say that they want to starve Cubans so the government can collapse. I mean, these people are vile. They do all these things, right? But the more they do these things, and they think that we are underdog, we have no way to fight back, right? And then yes, they can delete your shit, they can suppress your shit. But I like to think that a human being, they cannot buy all of us, right? They're not. Maybe they'll buy majority of us, but some of us who's not gonna go along with the program, those people do need to they will find ideas that could resolve some of these stuff, right? I really, because I too at some point I was confused and I just didn't know. I knew, like, I listened to NPR and oh God, this can't be a thing. I read a newspaper, I feel like my intelligence was being insulted. It was like a lot of things that would no longer work for me, right? And I got deeper and deeper and deeper. Look what I wind up being, a correct leftist. And I like to think that it's gonna be somebody else out there like that who just that's the person I'm thinking about. Right? I'm thinking about a person who just would be like me, would be inquisitive and as much as I want to delete everything and they want to suppress everything, I don't think they're gonna be able to catch all of us. And somebody out here like Dr. Parenti, look, they exercise him. They will not publish his books. They will not let him teach in any school. And what happened is people like me who love leftist ideas pick him up and they will give him minuscule money, have him in a library and some churches, whatever, the basement and stuff. And over time, the global people, we got to get to know Dr. Parenti, and he left us a tremendous work that's really not on any publishing house or anything like that. But look, I'm able to read today, so I'm just like, it's worthwhile to keep trying. Like my videos, for example, if YouTube decide to delete my shit, or if Facebook delete my shit, right? I have it in a hard drive, right? I have it in a hard drive, and this hard drive is gonna be here. It's gonna be here forever, and so they can never take how I feel about this. I'm narrating the story, and this story is gonna be here forever because I'm making sure that this story is worthwhile. I want these kind of structural, how do you call them, system, this that are anti-human. I want them destroyed, and maybe when we do that, it will produce better people and people who will avoid things like genocides and racism, right, and classism, right? Would avoid that, right? So that's that. So let's start. We're gonna start with some durable basics. With the overthrow of communist government in Eastern Europe and Soviet Union, announcement about the moribund nature of, quote, Marx's dogma, close quote, poured forth with renewed vigor. But Marx's major work was Capital, a study of quote, existing socialism, close quote, which actually did not exist in his day, but of capitalism, a subject that remained terribly relevant to our lives. It would make more sense to declare Marxism obsolete if and when capitalism is abolished, rather than socialism. I wish to argue not merely that Marx is still relevant, but that he is more relevant today than he was in the 19th century. That the forces of capitalism on motion and development are operating with greater scope than when he first studied them. This is not to say that everything Marx and Engels anticipated has come true, for their word was not a perfect prophecy, but an imperfect, incomplete science, like all sciences, directed towards understanding a capitalism that leaves his bloody footprint upon the world as never before. Some of Marxism's basic postulates are as follows. In order to live, human beings must produce. In order to live, human beings must produce. People cannot live by bread alone, but neither can they live without bread. This does not mean all humans' activity can be reduced to material motives, but that all activity is linked to a material base. A work of art may have no direct economic motive attached to it, yet his creation would be impossible if there did not exist the material condition that allowed the artist to create and show the work to interest audience who have the time to for art. What people need for survival is found in nature, but rarely in a form suitable for immediate consumption. You hear that? It's true. And if you think about it a little bit, you know that's true. Like for example, if you have a chair, I have a chair here, my husband have, and it came from the tree, right? So it's not really, you cannot use it as a chair right away, right? So that's that. Let's keep going. Labor therefore becomes a primary condition of human existence. But labor is more than a way of providing for survival. It is one of the means whereby people develop their material and cultural life, acquiring knowledge in new modes of social organization. The conflicted class interests that evolve around the production forces shape the development of a social system. When we speak of early horticultural societies, or is of a slave or feudal mercantile or industrial capitalist societies, we are recognizing how the basic economic relations leave a defining stamp on a given social orders. Capitalism theories present capital as a creative provincial force. As they will have it, capital gives shape and opportunity to labor. Capital creates production, jobs, new technologies, and general prosperity. Marxism turned the equation around. They argue that of itself, capitalism cannot produce anything. It is the thing that is produced by labor. You hear that? Capital, cannot produce anything. So my mother-in-law has, I don't know, a portfolio of money, and that big, and that money produce more money. It's not, the capital is not doing shit. It's just like, no, or produce stuff, real things in the world is people who are working, right? People who are working, right? So it doesn't, the shit, people who are working. That's it. The labor of people is what produce stuff. Is what do stuff. You sick, you're in a hospital, nurse is there taking care of you. She's doing stuff, right? Not fucking capital. And that's what the state here does. They print that shit, by the way. They print that shit. And then they steal shit from us where. And they said because they have this shit, right? We need to start, like, seriously. This is, anyway, let me keep going because I'm a little bit heated and it's Valentine's Day. I shouldn't be this heated, but it's a lot. Let's go, let's keep going. As they will have it, capital gives shape and opportunity to labor. Capital creates production, jobs, new technologies, and general prosperity. Marxism turned the equation around. They argue that of itself, capital cannot produce anything. It is the thing that is producing by labor. Only human labor can create the farm and the factory, the machine, and the computer. And in a class society, the wealth so produced by many is accumulated in the hands of relatively few who soon translate the economic power into political and cultural power in order to better secure the exploitative social order that it so favored them. You hear that? And that's what it is. Right? They don't, the right wing, the Republican Party don't pay they don't want to pay minimum wage. Right? Because the people who work on the job are actually doing the stuff. Right? They are the one who's doing the work. But they care about the business owner. Right? Who is exploiting these people work to make profit. Miss me. Let's keep going. The standard, quote, trickle down quote theory says that the accumulation of wealth at the top eventually brings more prosperity to the rest of us below. A rising tide lifts all boats. I will argue that in a class society, the accumulation of wealth forces the spread of poverty. Exactly. The accumulation of wealth foster the spread of poverty. Do you hear? This is why the right wingers, the white degenerates don't like Dr. Parenti. Yeah, they don't like him. They just don't like freedom. I'm gonna say freedom fire. People who love humanity. People who love humanity instead of capital. Who instead of the disgusting whatever they're trying to. It's just like what have this. They don't like that. They don't like that. People who just actually enjoy regular folk who not rich, for example, they have lifestyle, you know. But let's keep going. The wealthy few live off the backs of the impoverished many. There can be no rich slaveholders living in idle comfort without a mass of penniless slaves to support their luxurious lifestyle. No lords of the minor who live in opulence without a mass of impoverished landless serfs who steal the Lord's lands from dawn to dusk. So too, under capitalism, there can be no financial moguls and industrial tycoon without millions of underpaid and overworked employees. Exploitation can be measured not only in paltry wages, but in a disparity between the wealth created by the workers and the pay she or he receive. Thus, some professional athletes receive dramatically higher salaries than most people, but compared to the enormous wealth they produce for their owners and taking into account the rigor and relative brevity of the careers, the injuries sustained, and the lack of lifelong benefits, it can be said they are exploited at a far higher rate than most workers. Conservative ideologues defend capitalism as the system that preserves culture, tradition, values, the family, and the community. Okay, sorry. This cough is annoying. Marxists will respond that capitalism has done more to undermine such things than any other system in history, given his worst colonization and forced migration. It encloses eviction, poverty, wages, child labor, homelessness, unemployment, crime, drug infestation, and urban squalor. You know? Oh my God, let's keep going. All over the world, community in the broader sense, the Gemeinschaft with its organic social relationship and a strong reciprocal bonds of commonly and kinship is forcibly transformed by global capital into commercialized, autonomized, mass market society. In Communist Manifesto, Marx and Engels refer to capitalism impeccable drive to settle, quote, over the whole surface of the globe, close quote, creating, quote, a world after his own image, close quote. Exactly, and we see that today. U.S. is basically stealing, occupying all nation state, the whole globe, right? Even countries they supposedly not have, they can control like China and Russia. For the most part, it's one of the episodes I'm gonna listen after this. Like a lot of the capitalists in China, they send their kids to these Western schools, They have their money in these Western institutions. So, in my perspective, they own China, right? They do own China. So, I don't understand why they're gonna say it's correct, right? But that's what capitalism is about. It's about theft. It's about oppression, colonization, racism. It's about immiseration of human beings as we know it. Okay, that's really what. But so Karl Marx exposed the truth, the contradiction, because it only benefit the few. The ruling colonizers, the white supremacists. But let's keep going. No system in history has been more relentless in battering down an ancient and fragile culture, pulverizing centuries-old practices in a matter of years, devouring the resources of the whole region, and standardize the variety of human experience. Big capital has no commitment to anything but capital accumulation, no loyalty to any nation, culture, or people. It moves inexorably according to his inner imperative to accumulate at the highest possible rate without concern for human and environmental costs. The first law of market is to make the largest possible profit from the other people's labor. Private profitability rather than human need is the determining condition of private investment. There prevails a rational systemization of human endeavor in pursuit of a socially irrational end. Quote, accumulate, and accumulate, close quote. And we'll leave it there today. It's just a great section. Okay, you see, this is why I'm not rushing, because I'm doing my family drama. I mean, I can read this book in one afternoon, to be honest with you. But the thing is this. It works well for me here, especially with this family drama. It's working really good for me, because Dr. Parenti did a tremendous job on a true leftist, a correct leftist, a man that loved the oppressed, that loved humanity, not as, he could have a prestigious, position, these university and stuff. He gave it all up, and he knew that it was, in order for him to do the real work like this, he had to pay a price himself. And he decided, you know what, I'd rather be in poverty on food stamp than go along with this barbaric, abominable that now have relegated the vast majority of people to choose either dignity or annihilation, right? So in fact, if you're gonna dignity, then you're gonna be annihilated. Exactly. That's really what it is, right? You Venezuela, you Cuba, you better be prepared to be extinguished from planet Earth, right? That's what it is. Those are the decisions, and that's capitalism for you. That's capitalism for you, right? And so I'm not gonna rush into book. I'm gonna go section by section until it's over, until it's over. So that's all I can say about that. Anyway, we're going to, what the heck is this? Okay, so we're gonna leave with this song. Okay, just bear with me. I'm not gonna bore you. There's something on Facebook, on YouTube. Let's just leave with Victor Jara Manifesto. Okay, let's leave.
Bang, bang, bang.
Free Palestine.
Yo no canto por cantar,
ni por tener buena voz. Canto porque la guitarra tiene sentido y razón. Tiene corazón de tierra y alas de palomita. Es como el agua bendita, santigua gloria si ves. Aquí se encajó mi canto, como dijera Violeta. Guitarra trabajadora, con olor a primavera. Que no es guitarra de rico, ni cosa que se parezca.
Does your use significant transform?
Mi canto es de los andamios para alcanzar las estrellas. Que el canto tiene sentido cuando palpiten las venas del que morirá cantando las verdades verdaderas, no las lisonjas fugaces ni las famas extranjeras, sino el canto de una lonja hasta el fondo de la tierra. Ahí donde llega todo y donde todo comienza, canto que ha sido valiente, siempre será canción nueva. Siempre será canción nueva. Siempre será canción nueva.
Grainger knows that if you're a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility and your machinery isn't working right,